How many games will your favorite team will win? What's going on, football fans? It's your boy Mail Jones here, back at it with another video, and this time we'll be doing we're gonna react to Bleacher's NFL's for Bleacher's reports for his NFL prediction. We're gonna react to it, and we're gonna see if you can agree or you disagree with his predictions. But before I get to it, put the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and comment down your opinion below to see who you think's gonna how good will you think your team will be. Do you think your favorite team will make the Super Bowl, make the playoffs, or you think they're gonna miss out on the playoffs? So let me know what you guys think. So this is after preseason week 1, so we know the preseason's over with. So we're gonna look down and we're gonna get started in order from the AFC East to the NFC West. So Miami Dolphins 11-6. Uh, the Dolphins tend to shrink in the cold temperature. Now they have a three-man backfield that features Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, and the rookie fourth-round Jalen Wright, which will help them battle with the physical teams in December and January. Once Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips return from injury, Miami's defense should be able to get off the field and let its high-power offense take over. Uh, 11-6 sounds about a little bit too high. I think Miami Dolphins are kind of a little bit overhyped. I think they're overrated in my opinion in terms of talent on defense, which I don't think their defense is going to be great. I don't think it will be the same like it was years ago because now Vic Fangio's not there and now they got a new defensive coordinator, which I don't know that how their defense will play. I mean, I like Jalen Ramsey, Javon Hall's a talent. Kendall Fuller was a good pickup was a good replacement after Xavier Howard left. Jordan Poyer was a good addition. That's what I like. Um, Offensive line, I still think is a little shaky, but their receiving core is really good by adding John Smith and also Odell Beckham, which Odell Beckham will be out for a couple of games, I believe so. So yeah. So the Dolphins, 11-6 sounds about high for me. So I would at least project them with 9 wins. I don't expect them to do any better than that, but I can see them doing worse than 9, depending on Tua's health. Because if he could have a breakout year, I think this team can go to Super Bowl. So 11-6 is what I totally disagree on about the Dolphins. The New York Jets, 10-7. The Jets experienced off-season drama with Aaron Rodgers' trip to Egypt and are a contract standoff with the star edge rusher Hassan Reddick. They have plenty of time to resolve their situation with Reddick. Once they get past off-season distraction, their bounce roster can track up to 10 wins. Rodgers shows that he can still play at a high level and leads Gang Green to the playoffs. I think 10-7 sounds about right for the Jets, so I agree with it. As long as Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy and play and still stay at the same level, I think this team has a chance for a playoff spot. Because we could definitely see this team, take a step back, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play at play at a high level and doesn't really stay at the same level. Because he only played in one game last year because he's coming off an Achilles injury, and then they also got Hassan Reddick, which they add, which I was a good addition. Tyron Smith was a good addition to improve their O line. Mike Williams was a good addition to a number 2 wide receiver alongside Garrett Wilson because Alan Lazard was a complete bust last year. So yeah. So I believe the Jet, and especially they do got tons of talent offense. Garrett Wilson's a stud. Brees Hall's a stud. Tight end is fine. The secondary is really strong now. So yeah, so Jets defense is completely elite. Like because I feel like this defense is going to continue to carry in some games, but I don't know about their offense. So yeah, so I feel like 10-7 sounds about right for the Jets. The Buffalo Bills at 9-8. As Josh Allen's Bills connection with his new receivers and stronger ones with familiar faces, he may play a little more hero ball than the Bills would like to see, which could cost him some games. Yeah, he's talented enough to get hot and go on a run similar to last season. Despite key departures on defense, head coach Sean McDermott maintains a top tier until help out on offense that may struggle in spots. Um, 9-8 seems a little bit too low, and I disagree with that because I feel like Josh Allen is too good of a quarterback because they call him the one man show. Their coaching's really good, but bringing back Joe Brady as the full-time OC, I mean, I kind of like it. I feel like he was a better coach than Ken Dorsey last year, but you know, I think the Bills' defense should be able to keep him in some games. But Matt Milano, he's out for at least for a long time, which I don't know if he's going to return. Know when he will return. Um, they got some young guys on defense who can play at a high level. But they've lost some older players, like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Their offensive line is still okay. Their receiving core got questions like who's gonna be number one guy? Is gonna be Curtis Samuel, it's gonna be Coleman, the rookie, or it's gonna be Shakir or something like that. Like they added multiple receivers in free agency, like Valdez Scanlon, Chase Claypool, and Mac Hollins and all that, which I don't think they're number ones. They're more like number threes and fours. Like they could be on the practice squad. So yeah, so offensively, I mean they still got a good running game. James Cook's a stud. Dalton Kincaid coming off a rookie season, he could have a breakout year. Dawson Knox is still good. So they got plenty of weapons on offense that the Bills can work with. Which we gotta see how well the chemistry will work for Buffalo Bills. Because I don't think 9 wins will get them to the playoffs. I would project at least 11 wins, given the fact that Josh Allen is too good of a quarterback. I would at least project 11 to at least 10, 11, and 12 wins, and maybe 9 at worst if Josh Allen falls apart. So yeah, so 9-8 is what I disagree with. New England Patriots, 3-14. The Patriots are building a new culture in the first year without Bill Belichick since 1999. New England Patriots traded its most established pass rusher Matt Judon to the Atlanta Falcons, and the offense will go through rough stretches with either both journeyman quarterback Jacoby Brissett and Drake May. The Patriots have a couple intriguing rookie wideouts, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, who can bring a spark to the offense. They're in full rebuild mode though. 3-14, I think that sounds about right because the Patriots will be dealing with learning curves. They have a new coach. They got a new quarterback in Drake May. It's like a new culture. The Patriots, they don't really I don't even know they really have some studs on there. 'Cause I feel like Ramondre Stevenson's a good running back. Hunter Henry's a good receiving tight end. The receiving core looks a little bit it's underwhelming because they got some young receivers who can work with. They got Demario Davis, Jalen Polk, and Javon Baker could be really good receivers in the future. I feel like if one of them can have a breakout season, they can step up to be true number ones. Kendrick Bourne's still there. O-line is still a little bit shaky. The defense, like I said, they traded Matt Judon away. But they still got some young guys like Christian Barmore, Wise. They got Uche. And the secondary is pretty much underrated because, they got Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers. They got some guys on defense who can play at a high level, which they're all young. But I think the Patrons, if Drake May can, if he could be the next star, I could at least project them into, 8 to 9 wins. But I would project 3 wins, 3 to 4, at least 3 to 5 wins, because I think the Patriots defense is pretty much talented and is well coached and all that. So yeah. So I agree with this. 3-14 sounds about right. Now we move to the AFC North. We got the Cincinnati Bengals at 11-6. As long as Joe Burrow stays healthy, the Bengals will be back at top the AFC North as they were in 2021, 2020. You can bet the responsibility on the Bengals signing wild Jamar Chase to an extension before week one. With Chase and T. Higgins is underrated, Mike Gesicki at tight end. Cincinnati will field a prolific passing attack. Lou Anaramu's defense will rank within the top 12 in takeaways for a third consecutive campaign to bounce a playoff caliber squad. so so basically, I totally agree with this record, but I would move them up to at least 12 to 13 wins, given the fact that Joe Burrow's too good of a quarterback. Now, last year, the Bengals defense kind of fell apart last year due to coaching, but offensively, they're really good. Even though without Joe Burrow, their offense was still able to move the ball. But I feel like the Bengals could take a step back this year because they lost Joe Mixon and you added Zach Moss to replace him. Chase Brown's really good. I mean, they still got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Jermaine Burton seems like he's a good number three. Mike Gesicki is a good tight end. Offensive line is pretty good. I mean, Trent Brown addition was amazing. Defensively, they're getting slept on. They lost DJ Reader and they added on Sheldon Rankins to replace him. And the secondary is still the same by bringing back Von Bell. The linebacking core is good. So they got some good aspects to their roster. So I think 11 wins can definitely sound about right for the Bengals. And I feel like they should be able to win the division. Now, next team we got the Baltimore Ravens at 10-7. The Ravens signed Derrick Henry, who fits their physical culture, though they could have some issues blocking for him and protecting a much slimmer Lamar Jackson this year. The Ravens lost three of their starting offensive linemen from the previous season. Baltimore will also have to adjust defensively after his former coordinator Mike Macdonald took the Seahawks head coaching job. The Ravens still have a playoff caliber roster, but they won't be as dominant as last year. 10-7. I think 10-7 sounds a little bit too low for the Ravens because I would project at least 12 to like 11, 12, 13 win team. I think they're more of like a 11 to 12, 13 win team because I think the Ravens is still as much as good as Lamar is. Like I feel like the Ravens, should be in a Super Bowl conversation because they got Lamar Jackson because the Ravens, they they got a good coach in John Harbaugh, and they still got Ty Monken as the offensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator, who they lost, in Mike Macdonald. I don't know how that's gonna work. The defense will still be good. Um, they got some studs on there, like Nate Wiggins was a good pickup through the draft. Marlon Humphrey's a stud. Kyle Hamilton is a stud. Justin Matamuke is a stud. Kyle Van Noy. They got some other players on that defense. Then you got the Derrick Henry addition. That was nice. And then the receiving core has questions. I mean, I think Zay Flowers could take a step forward this year. He could have a breakout year. Rashad Bateman is okay. Um, Mark Andrews a stud. So the Ravens got some weapons on offense that can really like move the ball on teams. So I think 10-7 is okay, but I would at least say they're more like a 12-win team in my opinion. So yeah. Next team got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 9-8 with or without Brandon Ayuk. Pittsburgh will field a run heavy offense on their offensive quarter Arthur Smith, who should feature Najee Harris and Jalen Warren as one of the league's best running backs duo. Typically, the Steelers field a stingy defense, but they must figure out how to get the best out of their 35 25-year-old Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, which isn't an easy task with the possibility of two rookie starters along the offensive line. 9-8 sounds about right for the Pittsburgh Steelers because Mike Tomlin he always avoids a losing season. But I think 9-8 sounds about right because, you know, they could be in a tough division with the Ravens and the Bengals, especially the Browns. And now I heard news that Russell Wilson's going to be starting. So, yeah, and Justin Fields will be back up. So, yeah. I mean, Russell Wilson seems like he's starting to regress this year because, the age, and he's not really playing as well as he is years before. And with Justin Fields, he hasn't proven to be a passer. So, yeah, because all he does is run, and it seems like he can't throw the forward pass. The Steelers only chose Russell Wilson to start because Russell Wilson can do that. So, yeah. And the running back duo is still the same. Jalen Warren's a stud. Najee Harris is a stud. The receiving core, uh, outside George Pickens, is not real, and Pat Fairmouth was not really good because they traded Deontay Johnson away. Like, who will step up as number 2 wide receiver? Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson. Like, who will? The offensive line is much improved. The defense is still the same. Like, their defensive line is really good. Their secondary is strong. Like their defense is pretty good. I still think their defense will be able to carry them in some games. But I just don't know they're going to be able to compete with any good teams because they're in a tough conference. So, yeah, I agree with that prediction. The Cleveland Browns 8-9. Deshaun Watson's production will determine whether Cleveland remains in the playoff picture or finish with a sub 500 record. In 14 games with the Browns, he thrown 14 touchdowns and 9 receptions with a 59.8% completion rate. The Browns' sticking defense should keep him in games. On the flip side, the running back Nick Chubb doesn't have a timetable to return, and Joe Flacco isn't there to bail the offense out if Watson struggles or is unavailable down the stretch. So basically, the Browns don't got Joe Flacco anymore. I mean, last year Joe Flacco played like an MVP level. So, but now they don't got him anymore. Now they got Jameis Winston, who can definitely carry the offense if Watson struggles. Because Watson, 8-9, could be right, but I totally disagree that I would lean towards saying the Browns are more like a 9-10 or 11 win team because, their defense is pretty talented. Offensive line is pretty good. Their run game is really good. Their receiving core is good, but Watson isn't great. But their coaching is really good. With Stephen Stefanski calling plays on offense and with the defense, with Jim Schwartz coaching it. Like, I think the Cleveland Browns, putting them below the Steelers could sound about right, but that sounds a little bit optimistic. But I think Cleveland is kind of more talented than the Steelers in terms of their O-line and defensive line. I just think the Browns, if Watson can play, if he could get back to where he was, I think the Browns will be back. I think the Watson could definitely be back in the top 10 conversation because I feel like he's regressed as a passer. And all of a sudden he's coming off an injury. So I think the Browns offense, because Nick Chubb, he may not play. So how that's going to affect the running game? They got Jerome Ford, and Jerome Ford has took over. So, yeah, I think the Browns are just a better team than they were last year. Since I think I would at least slightly say they're more like a 10 to 11 win team. So, yeah, I like the Browns there to over the Steelers. Move to AFC South. The Houston Texans at 12-5. The Texans won't sneak up on anyone this year, yet they're still primed to become a juggernaut in the AFC with the 2023 Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud. He has a new playmaker in Stephon Diggs who will join Nico Collins and Tank Dell to form a high-level receiver trio. Joe Mixon can bounce the offense on the ground game. Houston could field a top 10 defense with the addition of a four-time Pro Bowl edge rusher, Danielle Hunter. The Texans have no glaring weakness. They'll be the AFC's one seed. 12-5 sounds about right, which I agree with that. I believe the Texans did make a lot of moves to improve the team. I believe the receiving core did improve by adding Diggs. Running back with Joe Mixon, which that's a huge upgrade. Offensive line is really good. Bobby Slow is a good offense coordinator. Defensively, they're really good, especially with D'Amico Ryans coaching it. Danielle Hunter and D'Amico Autry going on. Will Anderson was a good pickup. Linebacking core is good. Secondary is still really good, but they got some guys who can play at a high level. So Texans, 12-5 sounds about right for them. So I totally agree with that. So they should be favored to win AFC South. Jacksonville Jaguars 8-9. Hmm. Hmm. The Jags added wideouts Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr., but they didn't have problems with their offensive firepower. Jacksonville's passing offense finished ninth in total yards last year. Doug Pearson has to go his pass-heavy track record as a head coach and make a stronger commitment to run the ball, which may cut down on turnovers that remains to be seen. Jacksonville's defense may need to adjust period under new defensive coordinator Ryan Neesland. This team has notable question marks. 8-9 can sound about right, but I think Jacksonville's more like a 9-10 win team. I would at least disagree with it because I think Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence. He's a stud at quarterback. Travis Etienne's a stud at running back. They got multiple weapons on offense to work with. Especially, I like the addition with Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. from the draft and free agency, and Christian Kirk's still there, but they lost, Calvin Ridley, and then Evan Ingram's a stud. So, and the list goes on and on. I mean, offensive line is okay, but it's kind of average. Defensively, they're okay, but they're just a little up and down. But I feel like they could be doing some learning curves because they have a new defense coordinator. And Doug Peterson, I feel like he's going to keep them more competitive. So, yeah. I like Jacksonville this year. I think they have a chance to be a playoff team, but I would at least project them as a 9-10 win team, a 9-8 win team. I could definitely see significant drop from this team if Trevor Lawrence starts to decline. So yeah, I think 8-9 sounds right about Jacksonville. Indianapolis Colts 7-10. Anthony Richardson has a generation offseason, but though he has a small 4 games sample size and perhaps some growing pains ahead of him, running back Jonathan Taylor has missed 13 games over the last 2 years. Richardson and Taylor need to stay healthy for this offense to reach its full potential, and that's questionable for both of them coming off an injury-riddled campaign. Rookie first-round pass rusher Latu could make an immediate impact, but the Colts defense hasn't proven it can carry this team to victories. So 7-10 sounds about right for the Colts because we don't know about Anthony Richardson because he's coming off an injury, and he because he only played 5 games last year. The running back duo is still okay. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's still a stud. The receiving core is okay. Josh Downs had a good season. Michael Pittman is a stud. Their tight end Jelani Woods is still there, but he's gonna be out for the season. A.D. Mitchell was a good pickup from the draft, so their receiving core is really good. The offensive line is one of the best in the league. Defensively, they're good but not great, especially up front. They're really good. The secondary, I'm really not a huge fan of, which I don't think their secondary is really good. But unless if they got some guys who can break out. So yeah, a Gus Bradley defense, I'm not a huge fan of either. But they got Shane Steichen calling plays, which he's a good offensive play caller. So yeah, because I like the Colts. I like the Colts. This year I like their offense, and I think they should be able to move the ball on teams. Defensively, I don't think they're gonna be able to carry them in games like they have been because I'm not a huge fan of the back half of the defense, and I think their scheme is kind of average and vanilla, and that's not my favorite style of defense. So I mean, if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy and have a breakout year, I think the Colts could definitely be back in the playoffs. So yeah, I agree with the record 7-10. Tennessee Titans 5-12. Even though DeAndre Hopkins is banged up, the quarterback Will Levis has to make playmakers make a significant stride. Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and the pass catching running backs Tony Pollard and Tyler Spears could be a handful for opposing defenses. However, Levis has a first-time play caller and head coach Brian Callahan. Titans defense also had a first-time play caller, Denard Wilson. Tennessee's collective talent may not reach its full potential and experienced coaches in key positions. So I totally agree with that. But I could definitely go higher. I could definitely be higher on the Titans because I think the Titans, I think the Titans might be a threat in the AFC South because they made tons of moves this offseason. They made a lot of moves to improve their roster. I mean, they added Ernest Jones, Jamal Adams, L'Jarius Sneed. Like, they added so many pieces to improve their roster. Like, they had a good offseason, which that could definitely change my prediction for the Titans. So, yeah. So, I'm going to say the Titans, 5 wins sounds about right, which I agree because I don't know how good Will Levis is going to be because if he could have a breakout, if he could play at a because if he could play at a high level, I think he could definitely take the Titans to the playoffs. So, yeah. I think 5-12 sounds about right for Tennessee, so I'm okay with that. Now we move on to the AFC West. We got the Kansas City Chiefs 11-6. Kansas City has all sorts of question marks at wide receiver, according to NFL insider James Palmer. The league could suspend Rashee Rice for his involvement in a March car incident. Marquise Brown missed 4 to 6. Will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder injury, per NFL reporter Jordan Scholes. Xavier Worthy is a rookie, yet the Chiefs will figure out with Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City has won at least 11 contested and advanced to the AFC Championship in every season with Mahomes as its full-time starting quarterback. 11-6 sounds about too low, but I would at least project them as a 12-13 win team because I think the Chiefs, have proved that they can get over the hump. Now, Travis Kelce's still a stud. Isaiah Pacheco's a stud. Andy Reid's still a good coach. The receiving core did improve, is much better than last year. Xavier Worthy for the drive from the draft was really good, which I think he could be a stud. Hollywood Brown was a good pickup. Um, Rashee Rice coming off a really good season. He could have a breakout year. So, yeah, so the receiving core is really good. Offensive line is much improved. The defensively with Chris Jones, defensively they're really good, especially their elite under Steve Spagnuolo. Especially their secondary could be a little shaky because they don't got Snead anymore, but Trent McDuffie's a good cornerback. So the Chiefs, they should. I would at least project them as like a 12 to 13 win team and not more of an 11 win team. I still think the Chiefs are that good. So yeah, because they got Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, and they got Travis Kelsey and Chris Jones. So they got a really good core. So I think the Chiefs should be able to win the division because I feel like nobody, because I feel like the AFC West could stink, especially for the Chiefs, who was the best team in the AFC West. So yeah, so I like the Chiefs here. The Los Angeles Chargers at 9-8. Based on the head coach Jim Harbaugh's track record, Los Angeles will see an immediate overall improvement. That says the Chargers don't have a playmaking receivers to attack defenses. Justin Herbert's already dealing with the foot injury too. The Chargers can run the ball, but their top tailbacks to extensive recent injury history. Between 2020 and 2023, Gus Edwards missed 25 games and J.K. Dobbins missed 43 outings. The Chargers don't have a reliable offensive firepower to win 10 plus games. I agree that the Chargers will come in second place, but I don't know. But 9-8 is totally what I disagree because the Chargers, they don't really have a lot of weapons on offense that scare you because they lost Austin Eckler free agency. They moved on from Mike Williams. They traded Keenan Allen away. Offensive line is really good. I mean, I don't know how good it's going to be, especially without Corey Linsley being there. The defensive line is still okay, but they're not great. Like, they're going to be up and down like they was last year. Like, they can't stop the run. The defense, against the pass, they're not okay. Like, literally last year, they were ranked as the worst defense in the NFL. So, yeah, I think the Chargers are more like a 7-8 win team. They're more like a 7-8 win team. But but if they find who their go to guy is at wide receiver, I would at least say they can be better than that. So yeah, I like the Chargers to like stink like last year. Las Vegas Raiders 89. Las Vegas Raiders has what it takes for a playoff push. Except a bona fide starting quarterback, last season the Raiders finished ninth in defensive scoring and added Christian Wilkinson free agency. Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers will complete each other in the passing game, but offensive coordinator Lou Getzi has a lot to prove after he struggled to develop Justin Fields in Chicago. Now he has a journeyman Gardner Minshew and a proven second year pro Aiden O'Connell. The Ravens offense will be their Achilles heel. So 8-9 sounds about right for the Raiders because I felt the Raiders did have a good offseason. Christian Wilkins was a good pickup. I feel like the Raiders will be defense will be as good. I mean, their defensive line is really good. Linebacking core is good. The secondary has questions, but the O line is okay. The receiving core is really good. After adding Brock Bowers to go along with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. They lost Josh Jacobs in free agency, but I feel like Zamir White can step up to take up that running back one spot. The Raiders do have questions at quarterback, which I believe Gardner Minshew will be starting because I don't think Aiden O'Connell is good enough. And they still got Antonio Pierce as the head coach too, which I don't really know if he's going to be a next Dan Campbell. Like, we don't know. Will he be? Will the questions? Will he be the next Dan Campbell? Which I don't know. So I think the Raiders, I think they're more like an 8 to 9 win team, but I could be a little biased about that. So yeah. So I think the Raiders. I would put the Raiders above the Chargers for like right now. Then we got the Denver Broncos at 6-11. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix has a solid preseason debut. The Broncos should start him in Week 1 over a journeyman Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson, who has a disastrous 3-year tenure with the Jets. Eventually, he has a he has a he has to learn on the job in the regular season action. Every rookie quarterback isn't going to bloom right away, like C.J. Stroud. Nix will show flashes, but he's not ready to carry a team that struggled mightily defensively last year. So basically, 6-11 sounds about high, which I disagree with that because I don't think the Broncos. I wouldn't be so high in the Broncos. I mean, unless if Bo Nix improves himself, I can put them in the top. I can put them as an average team, but I think they're kind of below average team. I think they're more like a two-win team, in my opinion, because I don't know how good he's gonna be. They got some weapons on offense, but the receiving core outside of Cortland Sutton isn't good. Running backs okay. Old line, I don't think it's really good. The defense, especially up front, is not good. But the secondary outside of Pat Surtain is not good. They still got Sean Payton, who's a good head coach, which I don't really know how he's going to develop a young offense and how he's going to develop a defense. I mean, they still got Vance Joseph as a defensive coordinator. Especially last year, he's done a fantastic job with the defense. Especially, last year they ranked at the worst defense, and then until when it got towards the middle of the season, their defense started playing better. So I think the Broncos are more like a two-win team in my opinion. But I agree with them coming in last place, but I think they're more of like a 2 to 3 win team. And they could be in position to draft the quarterback next year if Bo Nix doesn't play well. So yeah. We move up to the NFC East. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-7. The Eagles lost projected wins from our previous prediction because of rumors about a fractured relationship with Knicks head coach Nick Sirianni and quarterback Jalen Hurts. Jimmy Fowler, Sirianni and Hurts difference could have a catastrophic impact on the team. Still, Philadelphia has enough talent. Welcome aboard Saquon Barkley to overcome a tense locker room. Also, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio are upgrades over the team's play calling from 2023. 10-7 sounds about right, but I would project the Eagles as more like 11 or 12 win team because of Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. Uh, they got a really good offensive line. Their receiving core is good. The coaching, from a standpoint, is an upgrade. Kellen Moore is an upgrade over Ben Johnson. And then Vic Fangio's an upgrade over Sean Desai, so which that's good. So they feel like the Eagles defense should play better, but the secondary, is really good. They improved in the draft and free agency, which they have questions to improve. Like the Eagles got some questions. Like on the defensive side of the ball. Like like last year they were ranked as the worst pass defense in the NFL, but last year they were ranked as the first run defense. So I feel like the Eagles, at 10-7, I feel like it's good enough for the playoffs, but I could at least project them to win the division too. So yeah. So I agree with that. The Dallas Cowboys 9-8. The Cowboys will likely sign CeeDee Lamb to a massive extension before Week 1. He's Dak Prescott's go-to right receiver and the team's best offensive playmaker. On the other hand, Dallas may lack offensive balance with the ninth-year pro in Zeke Elliott and proven group of running backs in the backfield. The Cowboys transitioned former defense coordinator Dan Quinn to Mike Zimmer, whose last two units ranked 24th or worse in scoring and total yards. Seems like a downgrade. But yeah, I could told 9-8 can sound about right, but 9-8 sounds a little bit too low. I would project the Cowboys as more like a 10 to 11 win team because they got some talent on offense, like the receiving core is good. Dak Prescott's a stud. The running back room seems a little bit shaky, but they did add Ezekiel and they added Dalvin Cook. I mean, I like Rico Dowell. I mean, if he could be the guy, I feel like he could be a stud at running back. Offensive line does have some question because they got some new pieces there. Because they lost Tyron Smith. The defensive line, I mean, defensively, they're really good up front and in the secondary, which Deron Blank's going to be out for a while. But the weakness is their ability of the Cowboys, their defense is willing to stop the run. But the pass defense, okay. I mean, so, yeah, which I don't know how good this defense will be with under Mike Zimmer, which I think it will be okay. So, yeah. But I feel like 9 seems a little bit too low. I'd rather project them as a 10 to 11 win team, given the fact that Dallas is too talented, and especially Mike McCarthy is a little bit under the heat. I feel like he's an okay coach, but not great. But so I think the Cowboys will at least win at least 11 games this year, if not 12. Washington Commanders at 8-9. The Commanders could be a surprise playoff team if they figure out their offensive line, which may feature two inexperienced stars on the left side. Jaden Daniels, who won the 2023 Heisman Trophy, can be a playmaker with his arms and legs. He'll have a reliable go-to wideout on Terry Lawrence. Head coach Dan Quinn and play caller Joe Witt Jr. will reinvigorate Washington's defense. The Commanders will pull out some upsets, though probably a year away from playoff contention. So 8-9 sounds a little bit too high. I'll predict them a little lower, like 4 wins. I'll project them as 9 wins because gotta loosen up that cough. I would project them as 9 wins because 8-9 sounds a little bit high. I would project them as 3 to 4 wins because Washington, doesn't have a lot of talent on offense because right now, because they traded their number 2 wide receiver away in Jahan Dawson. Now receiving core outside Terry Lawrence not great. The running back duo with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler is okay. Offensive line is not great. The defense, I don't think it's that great. I mean, they got some studs on defense, which they added some pieces to it to improve Dan Quinn's defense, but the secondary is really not great. So they got a lot of areas to prove in their secondary. So I think Washington 8-9 sounds about too high. I would at least project them as 4 wins, 4 to 5 wins this year. So yeah, I like Washington at. I would say 4 wins is about right. The New York Giants are 4-13. The Giants will give Daniel Jones another spot to prove that he's their franchise quarterback. Since his rookie year, Jones hasn't done anything to make anyone other than consecutive and Big Blues front office believe that he could be the guy in New York. Without Saquon Barkley, the Giants will rely on their rookie wideout Malik Neighbors to provide an offensive spark. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence second will be a nightmare for offenses, but the Big Blue will struggle to score in most games. So 4-13 sounds about right for the Giants. Which I don't know if Daniel Jones is gonna be the guy because if he's not the guy, they could be in spot to pick quarterback next year. Now the running back position is tied up as a question mark. They added Devin Singletary, which I don't know if he's a guy. Tight end position, they lost Darren Waller, but they got Theo Johnson as a tight end. Then they got playing receiver like Malik Neighbors could be their number 1 receiver, and they got Rondell Robinson and Jalen Hyatt and Darius Sanger. They got some other guys to like improve that receiving core. Offensive line's okay, but not great. Defensive line is pretty good already after adding Brian Burns. Linebacker position's okay. Secondary is it's okay, but I don't think it's great. So and then they got Brian Daboll as a head coach, which he won, which I don't really know how good the Giants is gonna be. Which I think the Giants are kind of more likely going to be like because 4 wins. I think I agree with that because they have a lot to prove on. So yeah. Now we move to the NFC North. The Lions at 12-5 every year enter head coach Dan Campbell. Detroit has improved its win totals from the previous season. In 2023, the Lions went 12-5, so Detroit won't make a jump in the standings this year. However, with the addition of rookie first rounder Tyron Arnold, rookie second rounder Annan Rostraw Jr., Carlton Davis, and Manick Robinson, the Lions will have much improved defense to match their high-level powered offense with a more well-rounded roster. The Lions are coming off the NFC's 1 seed. So 12-5 sounds about right for the Lions. because I believe they should be favored to win the division. Because this could be a Super Bowl. This team could definitely win the Super Bowl this year. Especially they got Jared Goff, which I think he's pretty good. The running back duo with Jameer Gibbs and is really good. The receiving core is okay. I feel like James Williamson can have a breakout year. And then they got weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporte, who's coming off rookie season. He could have a breakout year. Offensive line is still one of the best in football. Defensively, they're really good after adding DJ Reader in the mix. Linebacking core is okay. Secondary is much improved. So they should be able to cover teams now. Especially they got Aaron Glenn, who's a good defensive coordinator, who and then they got who can really stop opposing, who can really find a way to put up good game plans against offenses. And then you got Ben Johnson, which I think he's the best offensive coordinator. So yeah. So 12-5 should be good enough for the Lions to win division. So next team we have the Green Bay Packers, 11-6. The Packers will be one of the league's most intriguing teams because they have a budding offense led by Jordan Love and multiple receivers, 25 years old or younger, who can lead the team in catches, receiving yards, and given week. New defense coordinator Jeff Headley may be able to evaluate another achieving unit that features multiple recent first runner at every level. Green Bay continues to trend in the right direction as a team on the rise. 11-6, it sounds about right for the Packers because I believe the Packers should be back in the playoffs once again because I think Jordan Love is going to be elite. Josh Jacobs was a good pickup, but AJ Dillon they lost for the season, which that's kind of sad to hear. And they got multiple, and then they got some young guys who could, at the receiving room who could step up. They got Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Devontavian Wicks, and also Romeo Dobbs and Luke Musgrave too, and Tucker Kraft. So they got multiple receiving weapons that are young, who are entering their prime, which that's good. And then their offensive line is still okay. Defensively, they're pretty much talented. So yeah. So I like the Packers at 11-6. I think that should be good enough for a playoff spot, and I think they can be back once again. So I agree with them coming in second place. Chicago Bears at 10-7. The Bears will make a surprise run for a playoff spot in a highly competitive division. Caleb Williams, this year's number one overall, has supporting cast to lead a top 10 passing attack with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and first round rookie Roman Duzing to the premier. Williams could be the franchise first 4,000 yard passer. Chicago's defense has a Pro Bowl caliber player on every level to slow down opposing offenses. The Bears are built to win scoring shootouts and physical low scoring matchups. So 10-7 sounds about right for the Bears, which I think Chicago has a chance to win 10 games due to an easy schedule. I feel like Caleb Williams could be a question mark, which I don't know how good he's going to be. The receiving core did improve. Um, DeAndre Swift was a good pickup. Offensive line is much improved. Defensively, they're really good, especially they play at the end of the year. But outside of Montez Sweat, it's not great. But the secondary is much improved. Especially they still got Matt Eve, who's coaching a defense who can make a scheme work. So yeah, I think the Bears, should be back in the playoffs once again. But I don't know if I rule them as a playoff team yet. But I think 10-7 is good enough for Chicago to be back. So yeah. Minnesota Vikings 7-10. According to Adam Schefter, rookie J.J. McCarthy will undergo surgery on his torn meniscus, which will sideline him for the 2024 season. Projected starter quarterback Sam Darnold could have his best year with Wild, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, but he's prone to turnovers. Darnold could put the defense in tough spots where the Vikings lost to Neil Hunter in free agency. Rookie Dallas Turner has shown promise, but Minnesota secondary has major question marks. So yeah, 7-10 does sound about right, so I could agree with that. But But you know what? They added Stephon Gilmore for agency, which that kind of upgrade the secondary. Now, Jonathan Greener was a great replacement, though. So, yeah, I like that. And they still got Brian Flores coaching the defense. So, yeah. So, the Vikings did improve the defense a little bit, but offensive line is still a little shaky. Receiving core still the same. Um, yeah, and then they still got Kevin O'Connell, who's a great, good offense play caller. So, yeah, I think 7-10 sounds about right for the Vikings because I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be going to take Minnesota to the playoffs. So, yeah, I agree with that record. NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons at 9-8. Kirk Cousins is a significant upgrade over Desmond Ritter, whom the Falcons traded to the Arizona Cardinals, and Taylor Heineken. He'll throw a couple big targets to Drake London and Kyle Pitts to protect him. Atlanta returns its entire offensive line from 2023. Most importantly, new head coach Raheem Morris understands that he must feed his stud running backs Bijan Robinson. The Falcons will get a boost for four-time Pro Bowl edge rusher Matthew Jones, who will help the defense close games. So yeah, I think 9-8 sounds all right for Atlanta because I think Atlanta should be fair to win this division because they did improve their defense by adding Justin Simmons and Matt Judon. And then the offensive line is pretty good still. Darnell Mooney was a good pickup at wide receiver. I think the receiving core is really good. By adding, I think it did improve by adding Darnell Mooney. So yeah. So I believe the Falcons should be fair to win the division. 9-8 sounds about right. So I can project them to win at least 9 to 11 wins this year. So yeah. And we don't. I mean, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles injury, so that's something to watch. So yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8-9. The Buccaneers maintain a core of their offense, signing quarterback Baker Mayfield and wideout Mike Evans to an extension. New play caller Liam Cole must figure out how to get the run game going with Rashad White and perhaps rookie Bucky Irvin to bounce the offensive attack. Tampa Bay's offense may be a work to progress under Liam. More concerning though, Todd Bowles had a leaky defense that finished 23rd in total yards last year. 8-9 sounds about right for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I agree with that. I agree with them being below Atlanta because I think Tampa Bay might take a step back due to personnel. They do have the talent on offense. Baker Mayfield's still there. Offensive line is still okay. The defense is still okay as well, but it could take a step back because they lost some pieces like Carlton Davis, Devin White, Shakira Barrett, but they got some young guys who can play at a high level. So yeah, so 8-9 sounds about right for Tampa Bay. So yeah. New Orleans Saints at 7-10. In 2023, the Saints offense had too many lulls. At times, Derek Carr ranked up passing numbers while his team trailed by multiple scores only to fall a short comeback. Carr has a new coordinator, Clint Kubiak, but may have also a shaky offensive line. Guard Lucas Patrick drew 11 penalties last season, per Football Focus. Offensive tackle Trevor Penning has struggled in the pros. Talise Fuga is a rookie. The Saints defense won't allow a ton of points, but offensive line could cost them games early in the season. So 7-10 sounds about right because I believe the Saints kind of regressed this offseason because of the age of players, like their defense. Like they got some players on defense who are slowing down. Um, that are getting older. Offensive line is getting older. The receiving core is still good. Running back duo is okay, but Derek Carr seems like he's not the same player as he used to be. And I'm not really a fan of their head coach doing Dennis out. I think he deserves to be on the hot seat. So yeah. So I feel like they need to move on from certain players. So I think 7-10 sounds about right for New Orleans. So yeah, I agree with that. The Carolina Panthers 5-12. Carolina will increase its win total by from the three from the previous season, which isn't saying much, but we have to give Bryce Young time to develop under first-time head coach Dave Canales. In his second year, Young has to learn a new system, which may be generate towards a ground and pound approach with rookie tailback Jonathan Brooks and Chuba Herbert leading the charge. Carolina's offense may be a mythical, and his defense needs to gel with turnovers at every level. Be patient with the Panthers as they take baby steps. So 5-12 sounds about right for Carolina because Carolina, I feel like Bryce Young might improve a little bit because he has good weapons around him by adding Deontay Johnson and Xavier Legette, and also drafting Jonathan Brooks as a running back too over Sanders, which Brooks won't play for a couple of weeks since he's on IR. But Sanders was a good pickup at tight end, but offensive line is much improved. Defensively, they're okay, but they're not great because they lost a few pieces. So yeah, I think 5-12 sounds about life for Carolina. So yeah. So I mean, as long as Bryson, if he could play, if he could take a leap, I think Carolina could definitely be more like an 8-win team. So yeah, I like 5-12 is good. So yeah. Then we got the NFC West. San Francisco 49ers 11-6. The Niners can reach 11 wins with or without their wideout Brandon Ayuk. Kyle Shanahan's run-heavy offense needs Christian McCaffrey, but it can rotate decent pass catcher Debo Samuel and George Kittle are major playmakers in the passing game. Going into third year, quarterback Brock Purdy should be more comfortable in Shanahan's system despite a revolving door at the defensive core clear position. The Niners have maintained a scout unit. Nick Sorson's play calling inexperience won't significantly hurt the group. 11 wins sounds a little bit too low. I would at least project them as more like a 13-win team because the Niners are one of the best teams in the league. Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks. George Kittle is a stud. I mean, the receiving core is really good. The running game is good. O-line is good. Defensively, they're pretty talented, but they lost some pieces. And they got Kyle Shanahan, who's a good offensive play caller. So yeah, and the defense should be able to keep them in games. So yeah, I agree with them winning the division, but I still think 12 wins. I feel like they're more like a 13-win team. Los Angeles Rams 10-7. If Matthew Stafford stays healthy, Los Angeles is a playoff team. The Rams drafted Blake Corum to pair with Kyron Williams in the backfield. They can attack defenses on the ground or through the air with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Without Donald, the Rams' young defensive front can make a name for itself. In 2023, Byron Young and Kobe Turner registered 17 sacks and 50 pressure combined. Rookies Jared Fuss and Brandon Fixit will join them collectively. That quarter could wreak havoc in the trenches. So yeah, 10-7 sounds about right for the Rams, which I totally agree because I feel like the defense could take a step back because Aaron Donald's not there. But the secondary, did improve a little bit by adding Curl and Travis White, which that's a huge upgrade to secondary. But the defensive line may not be the same, especially they're young. But they got some guys on the young defense that can really play at a high level who can take a step forward this year. Offensively, they're really good, especially the receiving core is really good. The running back core is good. But as long as Stafford stays healthy, I think the Rams can definitely be a playoff team. So yeah, so I agree with 10-7. Seattle Seahawks at 8-9. The Seahawks are a wild card NFC West squad. They hired first-time head coach Mike McDonald, who fled the 1 seed scoring defense as Baltimore Ravens defense coordinator last season. With multiple Pro Bowl defensive back in the roster, he's going to turn Seattle's defense into a top 10 unit. Nonetheless, Geno Smith's play will make or break this team. He saw a drop off in his passing efficient between 2022 and 2023. Smith may be under pressure with a new coaching staff. Sam Howell could start some games in 2024. So 8-9 is totally what I agree, but I would project them as more of a 9-10 win team due to the fact that their defense is pretty good, especially up front and in the secondary. But their offensive core, with the weapons they have, their receiving core is good. Running game is really good. And Geno Smith seems like he's a little up and down, but he's an all right quarterback. So they could be dealing with learning curves with a new head coach in mind. So yeah, 8-9 is okay, but I project them as more of a 9-win team. So yeah. And then lastly, we got the Arizona Cardinals 6-11. The Cardinals will be a fun team to watch, but they don't have a playoff ready roster. Expect Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. to click as a budding quarterback receiving tandem. Trey McBride should continue to blossom into one of the league's best pass catching tight ends. However, the Cardinals may feel one of the worst defensive units. They don't have a standout pass rusher and lost BJ Ojulari for a torn ACL for the season. Arizona could start two inexperienced corners too. The Cardinals will score and give up a lot of points. So yeah, 6-11 does sound about right for this team, but I kind of reject them as more of a 3-4 win team. But I don't know, but I think it sounds about right because like I said, the Cardinals defense is the least talented in football, but the offense will be a lot of fun to watch because they got Marvin Harrison Jr. now. Trey McBride is a stud. I mean, they got some other weapons on offense who are really good, like Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and even Zay Jones too, that added to the mix, which I think he's a stud, which he will be suspended. And then the running game with James Conner is really good. So yeah, so the Cardinals do got some weapons on offense to work with. Jonathan Gannon did not improve the defense enough. So yeah, so he could definitely. This team could definitely be the worst team in the league coming forward. So yeah, so I think 6-11 sounds about right for the Cardinals. So yeah, well, those are all the reactions to Bleacher's Report's NFL predictions. I hope you guys enjoy watching. And don't forget, if you disagree with these predictions, just let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Because I totally disagree with some of the positions, and I agree with some of them. So yeah. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more options. Well, it's me, Alan Jones, big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later in the next video. Peace.